Well, hello, folks. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Where we take a look at these markets, we do it from a neoclassical perspective. Each time asking ourselves, what happened today? What does it tell us about the coming ones? I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Anytime I push content, you'll be notified. It's a good way to keep up with what's going on. Last night we talked about a little bit of strength maybe coming off of Europe this morning. We didn't realize Shanghai was going to drop like a rock. So we had some pressure. We did get back up, almost tried to, actually got positive at one point, but it didn't last. It started to sell off and sold off the rest of the day. So we were down on the day about 0.5%, nothing big. Russell was the big loser, almost a point or 1% down. We had strength in the dollar, and that was about it. So a little strength in the commodities and the oil. If we look at the indexes, and we'll start here with the S&P 500. So looking at the S&P, you can't say a lot about what happened because really there's not much to say, and that is that yeah, it got over, got back under, right? But it actually had slightly more volume, so it's really not even an over-under. It would also be hard to call that extended, so really just couldn't go higher is about all I can say about it. If we look at the NASDAQ pulls back inside day. Again, I don't really see much talking about inside days. You got the same thing on the NDX. And the Russell is the largest loser, but also an inside day. So if I look at the indexes, they really don't tell me much at all. Now, if I do flip over to the sectors, there we can actually talk about some over-unders. I was noting to the members today in the TNT room that, if I were a classical guy, I would be drawing in a head and shoulders top, neckline down here, right? I guess I could draw that a little bit better, but your neckline down in this area, right? The way you measure that is from here to here. If you're doing the classical stuff, it's a pretty big number. It's about 40 points. Take you down to about 210. If we do look at, about 310. If we do look at it, 310 takes you down all the way down into here, right? This support zone. So that would be a pretty big drop if it were to happen. Putting my neoclassical hat back on though, what we have at this particular point, the last break we got was from here. That's this little area up here. That's a retest regen bearish, right? Comes back up and it's having trouble in that area and can't get over it. So to me, this thing is telling you it's going to try to test the bottom again. If it can't get over the bearish retest regen, it's going to try to test the bottom. And there's a bunch of swing points down there. So yeah, you could get some acceleration if this thing fails, and that's something you have to be aware of if you're playing in that space. Semiconductors, new lows, another negative. If we go to the financials do an over-under, have a little less volume, right? So they go over, back under, a little less volume, so that's an over-under. If I look at the healthcare, same thing, goes over, back under. And so in that case, right, you have the same sort of thing, a little bit less volume. So, not big signals, but a little bit of signals here in the sectors. The real signals aren't here, and they haven't been here. They've been elsewhere for quite some time. Now, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, right, it's Shanghai. Shanghai, another big takeaway bar to the downside. This thing was trying to get over the breakdown bar, right? Couldn't quite get to it. Trying to get over a swing point high if it were able to get above that. Again, couldn't do it. Volume expands a little bit. You come down 6%. Kind of shakes up the world markets as part of that process. If I go over to the Hang Seng and look at the 8 shares over there, the low here, 107.1060. The low today was underneath it, 107.06. Closes over it, less volume. That is a successful test of the lows. Now this is on the Hang Seng, right? It's the 8 shares, the Chinese Shanghai 8 shares being traded there, where there's not intervention. And so here you're at least getting the test. It looks like it can hold, so the first attempt to get under it holds. If you look at Hong Kong itself, in Hong Kong, we have a press down again today or overnight. They're pressing for that low. That is still set up to go test the lows. So in the major markets tied to Shanghai, you're seeing lower and lower lows, but that really is just half the story. The real story is the silent crash that's taking place in the Asian equity markets. Here's the Taiwan market. And I'm going to pull up, I'm going to bring over the weekly, and you can see just how much damage has been done here. I mean, this has been a straight down move now from 4,000, I don't mean 4,000, 10,000, down to about 9,200 straight away, right? So they've knocked off basically 800 straight away. It's almost 10% with no relief whatsoever, a straight down move. If we look at other Asian shares, here's Indonesia. Indonesia just getting crushed. There's just no lift whatsoever. If I look at, say, Korea, it's the same thing, going after the lows again. If I move over to, say, Australia, same thing, just breaking down with no relief. That one's almost off, 10% itself. India, now India's holding up better than the others, but it can't get anything going. If I look at Brazil, big volume today, makes a new low, holds but makes a new low. And then if we go back over to Europe, right, we don't really have anything here inside days, but these guys are probably going to try to work lower as well, the way they're set up. The only thing that's holding up in Asia is the Nikkei, and that's doing a sideways move off of more devaluation in their currency and the expectation that they will quote unquote do whatever it takes and decline or devalue their currency as much as needed. So if we walk over to the currency markets, right, the dollar's still holding up here, it's still holding in this range, kind of a tight range. Tomorrow, you've got the Fed minutes, maybe give us an indication about what's going to happen in about 3 weeks from now in September when the Fed gets back together, and there's the real possibility of a Fed hike. We already know that we've got serious selling in like junk bonds, right, at lows. If you pull them on a weekly, they're at lows, they're testing lows. If you look at even high quality corporate bonds, which I showed you last night, here they are hanging down here at new lows. It's a tough situation for the Fed here. What do? Do you raise those rates because you say you're going to raise those rates? It's a conundrum. If you don't, then people are going to think the economy is weaker than expected. If you do, you potentially drive the dollar higher and put even more pressure on these currencies and countries that are already showing serious sell-offs worldwide. Folks, you can't know for certain that you have a top. You can't know for certain you have a bottom. You can't know for certain from day to day what this market's going to do, although you can make a pretty good educated guess, which I do here on a nightly basis with you. What I do know is that the risks are high. And I do know that there's a lot of folks that have been talking about crashes for a very long time, and they've been wrong every time. The risks are high. And when the risks are high, you need to be more careful. And that's where you're at right now. And if you're not doing that, you really need to rethink your strategy a little bit. As far as tomorrow, it really depends on China tonight. If we have another 6% down or something like that, these markets are going to open up very shaky tomorrow. If they don't, if they hold, then it's going to come down to what the Fed minutes say, and then that's a toss-up as well, although it looks to me like the risk is to the downside off those minutes. This is options expiration. It has been a, month to month, the option expiration has been the strongest week each month. Right now, that's severely being tested, and we don't know that it's going to actually work this time. It looks to me like you're probably going to get some more pressure, if not tomorrow, soon thereafter. That's it for tonight. Have a great one. Thanks for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Good night.